talking with Regi Wooten.
Yeah, hey.
Chase Your Dreams documentary.
Chase Your Dreams documentary, I like that.
Yeah, you definitely chased plenty of your dreams along the way.
Oh, yeah, that's what I do.
You, it's Regi and Victor Wooten. Y'all have done a lot of things here lately and really gained your name.
Victor's my little brother. He's 8 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about your, tell me a little bit about your childhood and how y'all come up and raising.
Well, childhood, my dad was military. My mom married my dad. He was in the Army at first, fought in the Korean War. Then he was in the Air Force. We moved all around. There was 5 brothers. I'm Reggie, the oldest. There was Roy. Next to me, there was Rudy. Then there was Joseph, and then there's Victor. We were all born like in a different state, except for me and Roy. We were born in Louisiana. But
yeah.
we lived everywhere 2 years, moving all around. We went from North Carolina to, see, Joe's Columbus, Ohio. Victor was born in Idaho, Mountain Home, Idaho. I was born in Shreveport. Me and Roy were born in Shreveport, Louisiana. You know, we moved to Hawaii, moved to California, back to Virginia. So
does that kind of help you now? Kind of adjust to be able to, tour and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You just, it's a lot different from I think a lot of people stay in their state, their town.
You feel like sometimes, like I'm from a small town myself, that kind of locks some people down. They don't feel like they can ever branch out.
Right.
That gives you an advantage that your dad, has taken you all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, we went from North Carolina to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you realize the world's just big with full of beautiful people everywhere. Like, it's all just people.
Music's one of the best ways to relate, from pretty much soul to soul.
Soul to soul, exactly. Well, that's exactly why me being the oldest wanted to do music instead of the military thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I was young, you were supposed to hate the Russians and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, man, they're going to buy my records,
Yeah.
I kind of like them.
Yeah.
So it was a different thing, and music definitely proves that,
Right.
I've traveled from here to Japan, and when I get to Japan, I don't know anything, but after we play, it's like I'm in Tennessee.
Right.
We're back, friends for life,
right.
trying to visit each other after we play the music. But
Yeah.
before that, it's a strange time. But after we play and during while we're playing, it's all the same.
Right.
So music for guitar has taken me places I would have never gone.
Right. We was talking a little bit about the original music and back in the 60s and times. What's some of your biggest inspirations from that era?
Well, really, I was a very young kid during the 60s, but anybody who was alive, you felt it because the music was so powerful. The radio was a valuable tool back then because soul radio, pop radio, jazz radio, they had the best artists. They had the standards to this day. I mean, imagine listening to the radio, when you hear Led Zeppelin, James Brown, at the same time, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Jackson 5s, Aretha Franklin, Carlos Santana, just never stops. Bang, bang, right after the other. Otis Redding. They were even Karen Carpenter, even the artists that weren't even not so popular, they were still standards today. Even the Mamas and the Papas, Sonny and Cher. And these people believed in the music. They're artists. They're not just doing it. So this was on the radio. They inspired everybody. They were very intelligent. The things they said on the Johnny Carson show, Dick Cavett show, so inspirational. And that's just the rock and the pop. Not to mention the jazz at the time was Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Wes Montgomery, the best of the best.
Right.
You see what I mean? So everything at that time, and to me, I think what happened was the artistry was so great, so it made acting be great at that time. Right. So the actors of that time stuck in your head, so I feel very fortunate I was inspired by all of them. I go to Bruce Lee, and it's like, I can't believe he was that committed,
Right.
And then, and on, all the actors from Charlton Heston to Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
It's like, so the quality of life, and I also feel like that's why our economy was so great, because the stock market, the investors would invest back into America and be reluctant to sell so much. And that's why we I shouldn't say we hated the Russians, but we thought we were the best.
Yeah.
Because we had Elvis. No,
Yeah.
we've got Elvis. Who do you have? You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, so.
Yeah.
So it was a very, and then that helped combat the war that was going, all the
Music and peace.
the music and the peace movement of the '60s. You know, you had the hippies, which is, but that wasn't a negative thing. That was a positive thing, and we could all identify with that. You know,
Yeah.
so really, that's really what changed the world. Even to me, in my opinion, it was the music and the arts that got things right, not the politics.
Right.
The politics didn't do anything. I really admire I feel bad for the politicians that got shot and everything,
Yeah.
but it's really the artists that really made it all come together.
I think a lot of people can agree on that. You know.
So it was a very great time. And like so many people started playing music, and I was just one of them at that time. Like you just couldn't help it.
Now, did you pick up a guitar on your own, or you took some lessons, or how did you get started?
Both. But I always wanted to play guitar. Of course, we could never afford one,
Yeah.
So I used to draw pictures of guitar. Every time I'd see one in the music store. So maybe that was my gift. I look at a guitar now and that shine,
All right.
I just get all these ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that that was kind of a gift, but I couldn't afford one. I got my first guitar in the 7th grade. But in Hawaii, my brother Roy had a ukulele. We had to have ukuleles.
Yeah.
And so I took his. That was my first. That's when I started getting into
That's pretty much standard instrument there, huh?
Yeah, I really got into that ukulele, and that's how we started the band. That's how I started the band, with that ukulele.
Did you ever
was 5th
study
grade.
classical type music?
Yeah, I've studied every kind. I always went to summer school, starting from the 5th grade. 5th grade, I went to. I was totally self-taught because I was practicing all the time.
Right.
But I would go to every class I could, and if I remember Hawaii, looking at the Hawaiians and asking them how you do this, and they show me this and show me that. Ask all the soul guys, how do you play this? Ask all the rock guys, how did you do that? So even today, if I see somebody do something, so I'm self-taught, and all of us, all the brothers were the same way, self-taught, but not afraid to ask questions or take a class. And then, of course, in 5th grade, I played trumpet in the school to learn how to read music, and all the way to 3 years of college and concert band, jazz band, symphonic band, marching band. So we all did that. Victor too. So it was both, We read and write music and school.
What's some of your most difficult challenges of trying to chase your dreams along the way, from coming from college to the level you're at now?
Yeah, well, the music thing it's definitely different. It's not really. It's a whole nother ball game when you chase your music. It's not like, to me, other art forms. Music is something you can't see it.
Right.
So it's not really valid. You play. No one's ever seen it before. So
Definitely.
like if you do cars, you see the car.
Yeah.
You can see the guitar, but when you're learning music, it's just an intangible. It's totally different. So most people teachers want you to get something to fall back on and things like that. But I was the oldest in my family, so I was very influential. So I always had wacky ideas, and I always, so I always told my brothers it was not hard.
Yeah.
It's easy. That's why we're doing it. Look at James Brown. Look how much money Elvis made. Look at Paul McCartney. Look at the Jackson 5. They came from the ghetto.
Yeah.
Look at the Osmond brothers. They're Mormons, but look how rich they are.
Right.
Look at, so I was always kind of a rock and roll 60s advocate doing that. I was young during the 60s, but the vibe was in me the whole time. And these guys, the people during even before the 60s, but to me the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, but those guys believed. Even now, if you get to an interview with Van Halen, he still believes.
Yeah.
He's, Jimmy Page, that movie he did with the 3 guitar players. I forget the name of the movie, but he's just a guitar player.
Yeah.
That's all he's going to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you think of it that way, put time in. It's like a regular job is 8 hours a day, 40 hours. That's hard too,
Right. Yeah.
So what is not hard? So put in 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week on your guitar. It's the same thing. It's hard, just like everybody else.
A lot of musicians usually have spent well more than 4 years of learning and teaching, especially if they ever make it to higher level in the music business, definitely put in 10, 12, a lot of years.
Yeah, you put in just like anything else.
Who's some of your most favorite artists you've got to play with along your life that really stood out, that really meant something to you when you went to go play that show?
Well, I was very lucky in life when I was before Joe was born. So I'm 5 years older than Joe. So he wasn't born yet. So I had to be about 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom took me to a James Brown concert. Me, Roy, and Rudy to a James Brown, and we were going crazy, dancing in the audience, going totally crazy.
Yeah.
And James Brown pulled us on stage.
Oh wow.
Said, "Come on and dance." So that was really influential, being on stage with James Brown.
Yeah.
And I knew he was great, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then and he was being nice to us. We were dancing. He told us to dance, and he wasn't trying to overshadow us. And I just could feel the presence, like wow, you know. My brothers were going crazy, but I was like, I was watching the scene, you know.
You was caught up in the moment.
I was caught up in the moment and really soaking it in. So I was lucky to do that. And then let's see, when Victor was 6 or 5 or 6, I think he was 6, we toured with Curtis Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Superfly tour, way back then. We were very young, but so Victor's 6, I'm 8 years older, so whatever that is. So that was very influential.
Yeah.
Because he was really very talented. He made the audience go crazy. We played Coliseums, Richmond Coliseum in California, and the audience was going crazy just like James Brown, but he played really quiet.
Yeah.
And it had the same intensity. It was really strange. And so we learned that, you know, so we had many. Once we moved to Virginia, you know, we toured and opened up for Stephanie Mills, who's the Broadway The Wiz. And we met so many acts there, the Emotions and the Manhattans and countless. We opened up for them and played. And it was from that we were able to, I was able to get a deal with Arista Records. Cause and then so we all signed to Arista Records in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that was cool. My brother Roy was playing drums on the first Whitney Houston album. My brother Joe singing on the Whitney Houston album, also on the Kenny G's.
Yeah.
We lived with Kenny G 6 months at that time in the 80s.
That's cool, man.
83, 84, 85, things like that. So, you know, if you keep playing, you run into everybody. You know.
Mm-hmm.
We played Prince's birthday party.
Yeah.
In the 90s, I think. So that was cool meeting him, and he held my guitar. So yeah, so
that's cool.
Cool.
That's definitely memories. That talking about a 40-hour job versus
music.
You know, music's part of the job. Gets a lot of kickbacks. It's also the struggle and time, and pain, and tears, and heartaches, and everything like that it brings along. What's some of your toughest struggles along the way that you feel that?
Just, you know, to me, music's always a joy, but real life is a struggle. So, music's the escape. If I can play music, I'm happy. But coming out of the music, then just dealing with regular stuff, family things, financial things, growing up, teachers, and but music. To me, there is no struggle for me in music. It's but coming out of that into real life.
Yeah.
And that's what the struggle is. You know, people not understanding and need money. You know, money's up sometimes and it's down sometimes. So, but for me, in my opinion, I don't know what my brothers would say, but for me, music is my joy. As soon as I can get there, I'm happy. But once you come off stage, deal with regular stuff and
ready for the next show, huh?
Yeah, I'm always ready for the next show. I'm one of those guys.
That's the way I am too, man. I gotta have that balance in life. Sometimes I can get too much of music, and you know, almost bore my own self or just wear myself out. I think I just overloaded, but it don't take long. I'll blow that fuse. I'm ready to get it fixed and get my blinkers back to working. You know.
See, I'm a weirdo. I never have too much music. To me, it can't be too much music.
I hear you.
I'm one of those guys. I never want to show the end. You know.
So you're pretty much.
I'm a weirdo like that, like the old school.
You're thankful that you never chose any other type of career. That this is what you wanted to do, and you stuck with it for life.
By far. Yeah, by far. And then when I started doing, like, I play music in my own personal philosophy. And my brothers, too, Victor. Like, my brother Victor has his bass nature. center, camp,
Yeah.
center. And so here he is, because he did music for so long, he's taking his music and then relating it to nature,
Yeah.
which seems totally opposite. But that's actually the name of his camp. He's nature and music the same way in his
Right.
philosophy. So you stay in anything long enough, I think all the scientists and Henry Ford that made the car, they all kind of did the same thing. They
Yeah.
say if you stay in one thing so long, after a while it becomes your religion. You see everything is building cars.
That's right.
Or a great cook.
Right.
After a while they see their marriage is like a
They gotta come
a
up
meal.
with even new recipes themselves. They gotta
Right.
always look for the next level too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. We just, so I'm music all the time, but after a while I start seeing I can relate music to life.
How much do you practice, now before shows or any type of things? Y'all.
Well, I'm not the normal.
Right.
I practice a lot, you see,
Yeah.
because, I play a lot of instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see over there, I got a 12-string bass.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and I play steel guitar, trumpet, saxophone, French horns, drum, basses, guitar. Kalimba. There's so many instruments, so it's just so much. So I try to practice a lot, but then I have projects I have to do.
Yeah.
I play weddings every weekend. I travel with my brother Victor sometimes. And right now I'm writing music for my high school. I wrote the alma mater, and I got to write the fight song, so I got to write for the whole marching band.
Cool.
So these things take away from,
Yeah.
But I'm one of those guys that like to practice. I like to get better, and I make tapes I still make cassette tapes of myself, and I listen to them. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
I like that.
I hear you.
So,
You learn
but
from
not
yourself.
but not everybody practices a lot. But I'm one of
Yeah.
those guys that really that's what I look forward to, getting back into it.
That's the way I am too, as well. If I like to have practice. Sometimes I even practice it go well and it don't go well, like you say. But there's sometimes I can inspire my own self, have
Yes.
a good practice. And
Right.
I'm ready to go.
Inspire your own self. That's the trick to get to that point.
I was watching some videos of the other day and stuff like that. I see a lot of bass players and different people using this. So explain this type of strategy to me.
But this just mutes the strings.
Right.
I made this up a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
And from playing with Victor Wooten, and Victor Wooten uses it, so now it's caught on. People selling, but it just mutes the strings like that. So if I play, I stop, it's over.
Uh-huh.
And so if you're in the studio, you don't want that sound in those.
What's up? Change it up a little.